Today I would like to start another series to discuss what went wrong between man and God. Last time we see that our faith really depends on our relationship with God. But if our communication with God is broken, then this makes things worse. So this series now I try to address this specific issue. All right, and where went wrong. All right. So this time we used another passage. Okay, it's Genesis chapter 2, verse 15 to 17. All right, let me read this to you and explain what's the meaning behind this. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. Now, the first statement here is already a mission and the responsibility that what God put the man that he created in the garden. And the Lord God commanded the man, give him with some more instruction. All right, you are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the trees of the knowledge of good and evil. For when you eat from it, you will certainly die. Well, that's another interesting passage. We have to read it carefully so that you would decipher some deeper meaning from it. So today, we would like to use this passage to carry on our discussion. So here I'm start to draw some for you, okay? Some of that is we already used it before, but this time I draw it in a different way. All right. First of all, we have God. And He created a human. He called him Adam. The meaning of Adam meaning is that he was made from the earth. He is actually coming from the ground. So that's why I'm using the brownish color to represent this is the man created by God with the earth. Here, because God put his spirit in him, so he actually can understand God. So that I'm using the red color to represent God. All right. So that's why this man have the nature of God. Right? Remember, we studied a little bit before that God created man in his likeness, which is God live in his heart. God also create another person to be with him. Her name is Eve. Beautiful lady, all right, and look very much like Adam. And she also has the heart from the God. All right. So now, God created the man and Eve, and this is God. So this is the pretty much the schematic, okay, we used to illustrate the relationship between God and man. Wow, seems to be quite straightforward. But go back to the passage. Let us read this a little bit more carefully. First of all, God created the man and put the man into the Garden of Eden to work on it. When we careful in reading it, is that Does God live in the garden? Well, God is the creator. He is God. Can you see him? No. We can't directly see him. So, this picture, we cannot think of God actually is an object inside the garden living with the man and the woman. So, but God, how does God himself being in the part of the garden? Now, this is the interesting picture that we only see these two guys, but we don't see God directly because God lives in our heart. So this picture, the better way to seeing it is actually it has two layers. We only see the man in the front, but we don't see God behind. Okay? So the better way to say it is, this is the earth. And this is the heaven. So when God created heaven and earth, what that really means is that the earth is something that we can see. And the heaven is something that driven how the earth is being formed. So we can't see the heaven directly, but we can, from the earth, we can recognize what is behind the scene. Now, you may say that this is the physics or the physical law, but this is only the part of the heaven. Heaven have another thing inside that, all right? So when we observe everything happen on earth, we can deduce that what is happening in the heaven. Meaning is that there's some metaphysical object or being on top of it to driven what earth is making. So essentially, when we see these two guys, okay, Adam and Eve, who are working heart to heart together as one family, we know they have a unifying heart of God. Okay, everything is perfect. Okay, before something happened. Okay, so they are the happy family, including God all together. They are a happy family. And one more thing, I make it even more explicit is that the things on earth you can see. We can see from our eye. So this is the eye. Okay, we can see. This is the eyes that can see. The things you can touch, the things you can see. But the eyes cannot see God. But what is the organs or our perception that we can see God? By what? It's by our heart. This is the only piece that allows us to recognize God and also recognize what's happening in the heaven. All right? So now, with this understanding, now get back into the passage. When here's the precaution, God, hey, say it, you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of the good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. What does that mean is that once you recognize what is the good and bad, then you will die. Interesting. How come this knowledge will make me die? Back to here. Right and wrong, or something happens badly, right? if you have find a bad apple, and wow, it's a bad apple, right? If Adam is in the garden finding food to eat, okay, he found two fruits, okay? One is the good apple, the other is the bad apple. So what will he eat? Well, he definitely would eat the good apple, right? And toss away the bad one, no doubt. Now, when he is living in the garden by himself, well, fine, things fine, okay? But now we introduce one more person in this family. Well, he has a wife, all right? And then now when you have the one good apple and one bad apple, well, would you take the bad apple and leaving the good one to your wife? Or you having the good one and then give the bad one to your wife? Now, before you have the ability to find out is a good or bad, well, once I pick it up, well, I just, unknowingly just give one to you, okay? I don't know it's good or bad, okay? Then I eat it. Then when she eat the bad apple, well, typically, okay, if you're a husband, you will say, oh, I'm sorry, honey, I give you the bad one, okay? Or the other way around, okay? If I get the bad apple and then I give her the good one, unknowingly, then when I eat it, bad apple, okay? Wow, maybe your wife will come back. Oh, honey, hey, yeah, that's the bad one. Toss it away. I share with you. Well, now, good or bad, or the good apple or bad apple, is not an issue. The issue is how they're dealing with this good or bad. So when the Bible says, when we start to know good or evil, God knows in the, our body, tendency is we're tending to the good. We definitely will not go for the bad one. No doubt. I don't want the bad one. Okay? So, but the challenge is that when the good and bad in front of you, how do you choose? Now, if you just is a simple family, just, you're living by yourself, no problem. But when you have someone next to you, now this become an issue. Now, actually, maybe this series, when we go down into the story, now you will start to see that these two guys started to have this issue, because when something come up with the good and bad, when you have a choice, I'm pretty sure that you will choose the best for yourself, not for others. Now, this definitely not what God wants. Now, maybe when next time I would go down a little bit deeper, is that we're starting to use, well, when you say good or bad, you're using your eyes to determine, oh, that's a good or bad thing. All right? And then we lose our heart. Heart is how you see the unity between two people. When two people work living together, you need to give or take. You cannot just always take. You cannot without giving the gift. Okay, or vice versa. It's a two-way street. It is not you, it's not her, it's between them. Which is, well, the center of the family is him. Not him, not her, but God. So when we started to losing our heart and then using our eye more than our heart to see this world, problems start. And then the earth, okay, deteriorate very, very quickly. All right. This essentially the death. You will die. This essentially how you broken the relationship with God is this particular, this line essentially breaking our relationship with God and ourselves. When we start to use our eyes looking at the good and bad to judge what is good and bad, and losing heart of the unity of this family, you die. Because you already disconnect with God already. this is what that die means in the passage. You will see more in the later. This is the really interesting story of the Genesis. But if you read more, you will see many things will come up. All right, the concept and all this concept will come up. And this blockage, we call it sin. Sin is not something really evil, okay? It just means the separation between God and man, or your heart and your eye and judgment. You separate these two. Now, you will see that many people using the judgment without their heart. Sometimes they have the good heart, but they don't have the good judgment. So when you disconnect these two elements, you make a big mess, okay, to the whole earth and to the others. The sin, when using this term sin, is more into the spiritual side. All right? But the term used it, maybe I draw it this way, better this way. This separation at the top, we call it sin. But the term living at the earth is called mistake. Sin is something at the spiritual realm, which is the heaven. The mistake, when we have the sin, when we disconnect the heart and eyes, you definitely make mistakes. And this mistake is something that we do, all right, at this level. When you have sin, you're prone to make mistakes. So, because our heart and eyes are disconnected, and also our relationship with God and our life are also disconnected. And because of this blockage, something that we can see are more superficial, and also we're lacking of the profound understanding of what is showing in the service. All right. So I've been using this analogy quite a bit, and I would like to use this one more time and to strengthening our understanding to the orange. In one episode, I explained that if this is God, or maybe this is whole being, right? It's whole being that you can see. Okay, if this orange, okay, have God in it, where is God? The God is actually the seed, right? The seed inside. And what you see this orange, smell the color, right? And you have the signature stem and things like that. This is what you can see. But if you can see the seed based on just what you observe and can find the seed of this orange is a sweet orange or sour or maybe even the bad one. I'm not an expert in orange, so I have no clue about this is a good one or bad. But if you have the heart, you will understand based on, if you're expert in orange, right? If you're looking at all this, then you will see that, this is the good one. Because you have the heart of the orange. So you know the seed must be is a good one. It's a sweet orange. The DNA, the seed determine, how this orange tastes. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're looking at the surface, can you see what live inside? What live inside this orange? Even though I take that seed out, it's still a physical. But what is determined, what is this orange all about? Is that seed. Same way, if you're looking at a human being, whether it's good or bad, it is not at this level. You have no way to judge a man by looking at it. You have to judge his heart. which is the seed. So I hope that this is the sort of the starting another journey that what is the blockage and why we create all this trouble and disconnect with God. It was because of this is being broken. God and man is being broken. So that's why our faith is largely depends on we establish this relationship with God so that we can live with him happily in the garden. Okay, see you next time.